All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Complete Sports Media's podcast. We're coming to you after a long weekend. We're doing a weekend wrap-up of sports, and you can see two extra boxes tonight. We got Stephane Cappelini joining us. Some of our loyal viewers and listeners have seen Stephane on a couple of occasions come in and break down some UFC fights. And the great thing is all three of us were together on Saturday night. We got to see UFC 281, the best card of the year, in my opinion, probably the most stacked card that they put together this year. And we had a blast. So I thought, hey, why don't we have a blast breaking it down on Monday? And I'm glad we could put it all together. Thanks for joining us, both of you. Thanks, Stephane, first of all.
Hey, thanks for having me back. Yeah, we had a good time Saturday, had some great fights, so
Yeah.
talking about it.
Yeah, this will be great. And yeah, thanks as always, Jason. How was your day? How you doing?
Day was good. Obviously, watching the fights with you guys was awesome. It was a great night of fights. Little bit disappointed though. My guy, he didn't win.
Yeah, that was yeah, it was good. I think you should stop betting me because I think I'm undefeated in all the bets that we've had together, and I think yeah, you should probably just retire from the betting world against Nostradamus here.
Yeah, that's really cool how you named yourself Nostradamus. That was awesome how you just did that. Here's the thing. I'm a bad gambler, so I will continue to keep I can't always lose. I can't always lose. At some point in time, I got to win.
Yeah, well, so far it feels pretty good to be undefeated, and yeah, it's nice getting those extra beers paid for. I really appreciate it, and yeah, I'll just take the other side, whatever you wanted to, next time we get together for.
Happy to help you out. So happy. My pleasure.
Yeah, it was nice too. I had a DraftKings setup. I predicted 6 fights, all right, and that was awesome. That made me happy, made me a little bit of money, and paid for part of my evening. So that was fun. And yeah, it was as I said off the top, super stacked card. Madison Square Garden, the most famous arena on the planet. So many amazing events there over the years. UFC sold it out, 18,500 people. No, sorry, 20,845 is the exact number. This was the UFC's 27th consecutive sellout, and it was the 5th highest grossing event for the UFC ever. 11.56 million was the gate, and that's the second highest grossing gate in Madison Square Garden history, second only to UFC 205, which was Conor McGregor against Eddie Alvarez back in 2016. That was $17.7 million gate. So in the massive history of Madison Square Garden, UFC took so long to actually get sanctioned in New York, and they finally are there, and they're getting the biggest draws, biggest gates, and it was awesome in there. The energy in the crowd was just phenomenal. What did you guys think?
Stephane, go for it.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. Is it the most famous Coliseum? I'm thinking the Roman Coliseum. It might be, but they're not. I don't think they're ever going to put the UFC in there.
No,
we'll watch any football games there. But I say maybe second place, maybe for
maybe. Well, they call it the most famous arena. That's what they call it. Coliseum's not really an arena. It's a little different venue.
Okay. Great. Awesome. Especially, for a North American crowd. You don't get quite the chanting that getting in some of the shows there, like in the UK and stuff. But yeah, but which is really cool. But yeah, great atmosphere, and they lit it up. Great show. And by the way, Jason, I don't think you might be upset about losing some bets, but not as upset as Drake.
Oh yeah.
Did you hear how much he lost?
2 million, right?
2 million.
Oh man. Wow.
But that's pocket change to him anyway, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Jeez. Jason, you think you could invite him to the next event? And
Well, yeah, you know what? Like, if he's willing just to throw away $2 million, if I could get him out, he just buy the bar like drinks. It'll be cheaper than his losing money. You know.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, 2 million. I've heard he's quite the gambler. He puts a lot of money down, but yeah, even though you're rich, 2 million still got to be a real kick in the gut.
Yeah, it can't feel good. It can't feel good. It can't feel good at all. But I did want to say I love like there was obviously a ton of celebrities, but the ones that I noticed the biggest, the most, is because I just saw the movie on Friday with Black Panther. And then so you had a lot of the cast from Black Panther that was there.
Yeah,
and
great.
You guys don't know this, but there was somebody had a cameo in Black Panther. Can you guess who it was? The UFC fighter.
Kamaru Usman.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. He was sitting next to the two main actresses in the UFC, so that's how I knew. But yeah, great to see so many stars out there. Mike Tyson, I think, had the biggest ovation though when they showed him on the big screen.
But he's the baddest man on the planet.
Yeah,
like,
still, even though he's 50 something. Yeah,
he always will be. Always will be.
Yeah. So obviously, it was a huge night, 2 title fights. We looked at the card going in and thought the fight of the night's going to be Poirier Chandler. Sure turned out to be. They both got fight of the night, 50K bonus. But why don't we start with the main event? We got Israel Adesanya, undefeated, long history, beating all the top contenders, even twice, eliminating them. But he has this boogeyman that had beaten him, had knocked him out in kickboxing, comes into the UFC about a year ago only, has a few great performances, and they decide, let's give him a shot. Let's see what he can do. And he seems to be the kryptonite for Israel Adesanya. Adesanya was winning this fight going into the 5th round, 3 rounds to 1 on everybody's card, it seemed like. And he got caught. He got hit, and he is no longer the champion. Alex Periera was able to pull off the huge upset, big win, and we have a new champion. Probably a rematch coming, but what a shocking turn of events that ended up being.
Yeah, it was a shocking turn of events because as I'm watching the fight, you know what it reminded me of? I'm sure Stephane would agree with me. It reminded me of Kamaru Usman.
Yeah,
that's what it reminded me of.
Sure. Like where Leon Edwards, just shocked the world right at the very end of the fight. Boom.
Oh yeah, like I thought for sure that he had it in the bag.
Yeah.
All he had to do was kind of coast to the finish, but Pereira's camp, like his coaches, they did a great job of coaching him up.
Yeah,
great job of coaching him up so that to go into the 5th saying, well, it's all or nothing right now. Got to take him out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he blitzed them. Go ahead, Stephane.
Yeah, no, well, he was certainly Izzy was on his bicycle, I think, on that 3rd round. He wasn't running away. He could have, but it's not his style either.
Yeah.
So I give him kudos for not running away. And then, with just a little bit of time, he just got caught. Periera was just slowly stalking him down, and finally caught him clean. Caught him clean with a few punches, and just like Darren and I think our jaws were just dropping at that time, right? We pretty much thought that was probably it. And poor Izzy, and I think Jason, you mentioned it before because you watched your kickboxing match where Izzy got knocked out by Periera, and remember in the 1st round, Izzy, and we talked about this, if he only had maybe 10 or 20 seconds more, because he really rocked him. He really rocked Periera with a 1-2 call. I think it was an overhand right and then kind of a hook uppercut. And Periera was rocked. But
I believe it was 15 more seconds. Adesanya's still the champion. He wins that fight because you could tell that he wasn't there for a second. He when the bell sounded, Goddard stepped in the middle, and all of a sudden he was looking around like, oh, what the hell just happened? And the bell saved him there. It's amazing that he was able to go in between the 2 rounds and recover. I thought he won that second round, came out, with the ferocity that he really wasn't showing tons in the first round. But good on him. And you mentioned his corner. Did you guys listen to the cornerman between the 4th and the 5th rounds? We had a hard time hearing the audio while we were in the bar there, but I watched the commentary and saw them yelling at him. And they say, "You got 5 minutes left. You got to get in there. You got to stalk him. You got to knock him out. You're going to be 5 minutes from a champion here." And they really hyped him up, and he went out and pulled it off. It was awesome to see. That's a little camp in Danbury, Connecticut. It's got Glover Teixeira there and a few other guys, but it's a small camp. And but they did an amazing job sending him out there. And now he's the champion. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible, like how a little camp like that literally just had Glover, former champion, possibly could be a champion again in his rematch, right?
Yeah. He's coming up against rematch. Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Now, this is a question for both of you. Do you think he gets an immediate rematch?
I think he deserves it. I think he deserves it. And I don't think he's shying away from it. So, I think it happens.
I think it certainly is on the table. But I would question whether it's a good idea for him to go back straight at it. He's lost to this guy 3 times. Every time they fought, he's lost to this guy. So how's that affecting him psychologically? He seemed to have shaken it off in this UFC fight. He seemed confident. He seemed strong. He seemed and I think we all could agree that on our cards he was winning.
Yeah.
And it was a close fight, but still it was decisive up until he caught those until Periera tracked him down and caught him with those punches. So psychologically, I think is he ready to
well, when you've lost 3 times to someone, even kickboxing is a completely different sport. But when you've lost 3 times to someone and got brutally knocked out in the last 2, it's got to get in your head. We all got those voices in our head saying stupid stuff. It's got to be, talking to Izzy. I saw Adesanya in the press conference after, and I saw him today on MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, and he seemed really amazing. One of the most amazing kind of demeanors that I've ever seen from a guy that has lost a title fight, has lost the belt, has been knocked out. He seemed good spirits. He seemed fine. I was really quite surprised, but to lose 3 times to a guy and get knocked out the last 2 times, I don't know how you overcome that in your brain. I don't know. It's going to be hard.
But also, too, maybe he's thinking that first round, I was like 15 seconds from taking him out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like knowing that he has the confidence, because obviously that's one thing that man doesn't lack is confidence in himself.
Yeah.
Doesn't lack that. So maybe he's also looking at that saying, I almost had that guy out of there in the first round.
Yeah.
Like if I had just a little bit more time, I would have had him out there. Right. Yeah. So, well, first off, I think there's going to be a couple months, maybe 4 to 5 months before possible rematch does happen anyways. And so he can actually dissect all of those fights and see what needs to change.
Right.
So he does have time.
Yeah, he has time. I feel like Periera's got in his head, and he's just got that punch of chance. When I was talking about why I put money on Periera going in, I thought he had more opportunities to win because of his power, because of his aggression. I thought that he just needed to land one huge shot, and that the way the refereeing is these days, a lot of times, as soon as the guy gets hurt, the referee's getting in there and takes couple too many shots. Boom, he's in. There has been a lot of talk today and over this weekend that the stoppage was a little too soon. You were really right there watching with me, Stephane. Did you think that stoppage happened too soon? Mark Goddard is one of the best referees in the game, but he didn't let him go to the ground. This is a champion. He took a few shots, but he was kind of blocking a lot of them too and avoiding them. I thought it was a touch soon, but who knows? What do you think?
So a few things I want to say. First off, okay, about that, I think Mark Goddard, I'm sort of on his side here. It's good to see that he didn't get too hurt. I think he was very, very hurt, but still, you're right. He had a chance. It was maybe a bit soon, being that it was a title fight.
Yeah.
Because usually they leave. This is not amateur MMA. It's not even just professional MMA.
Right.
This is, a title, and it's the UFC title. And so maybe it should have gone just a little bit longer. I think, just like a Periera in the first round, he got rocked. Yeah. But who knows if Izzy was going to be able to stop him within the next 20 seconds. We don't know that. Maybe Periera shakes it off. But Izzy got hit by about 5 shots there, I think it was. I'll have to take a look again at it, but it was very slim chance of him recuperating from that and not receiving a whole bunch more damage. But I just wanted to jump back onto something you guys were saying about if a possible rematch.
Sure.
Yeah, Dan, right. All this stuff is going to go through. It's just human nature to go negative stuff through our minds. But Jason, you're right that it's got that one silver lining, saying, "Man, I nearly knocked this guy out in the first round." Yeah. So, as they say, that tape in your head, what's that tape going to be playing? And not just training camp, it's walking into that octagon again, because training camp can be wonderful. But then all of a sudden he walks into that octagon, and what happens then? Is he getting, flashbacks?
Yeah. You always worry, camp always worries about once a guy gets knocked out, it's just very hard to overcome, and it's very hard to get that negativity out of your brain.
And we'll get to that later on today about some of the old fighters that, it's like that jar, the top of the jar has been loosened. Yeah. And they're knocked out easier now.
Yeah.
Funny, but yeah, was it maybe a tad bit soon, but maybe gives him a little bit more of a future and a better chance for a comeback.
Yeah. I've always told people that I really don't like pay-per-view. I hope the UFC at some point in the history of the sport gets away from pay-per-view. I think it ruined boxing, I think, and it has the ability to really limit the number of people that have access to it and can, look at it again, break it down. I would have loved to watch it 2 or 3 times over this weekend, but it's on pay-per-view, hard to find it, hard to see it. Adesanya today said that on one of the kicks that Periera gave him to his leg, he actually damaged his perennial nerve on his knee, and he was having a hard time really working his leg properly. And he said one of the wobbles that happened to him after he got hit was because of this nerve damage. And he said, then I think Goddard thought I was more rocked than I actually really was because of the way I was wobbling. And he said, good on him for giving me that kick, but that nerve damage was there earlier in the fight.
Well, that makes a lot of sense why he just didn't seem so stable on his legs. It makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, Periera delivered that blow.
Yeah,
and he made that damage happen. So that's something that's a feather in his cap for doing that to him, right?
That has been happening a lot lately. Remember Jimmy Crute? That he wasn't able to continue. They actually called the fight because his leg just wasn't working anymore. Obviously, not as severe for Adesanya here, but we've seen it quite a bit in the last couple of years. These calf kicks and these kicks to the leg are doing damage. Sometimes they're breaking the guy's leg when he throws the kick, but we saw Conor McGregor have a broken leg. We saw Jimmy Crute. We've seen some problems with this, and he said I would say I got knocked out. I got knocked out, but he said this damage to my nerve on my knee caused a lot of this extra problems I had.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Stephane.
well, hey, it's a war. It's a war, you know.
Yeah.
He's still injured. He's still vulnerable. I get what he's saying, though. He wasn't as hurt as he appeared.
Right.
So again, you know, who's to know? Who's to know? I think he was done. I think there was a slim chance of him pulling that off. I think he was done, and Goddard gave him the chance to recuperate quickly and get back on track, I guess.
Yeah. Jason, you were one of the most aggressive natures I'd ever seen you. You're a pretty calm, cool, and collected guy typically. Pretty chill, but you were screaming at the screen. Can you remember some of the things that you were yelling at the screen? You were screaming so loud, a lot of people in the bar were hearing you. Do you remember your rants and chants that you kept throwing at the screen?
What, kill him? Yeah. I want to see blood. I need this. I need this in my life. Yeah, you know, like I like to have fun with it. I really do. And then also too, it's shock value. So because people are just like, there's something very wrong with that gentleman over there. There's something very, very wrong with it. And also too, I like to have fun with it. I like to have fun with it. And also too, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't want to see Izzy lose. Right. I really didn't. I wanted to see him conquer this one demon, the one guy, right? That he just can't overcome. And again, this reminded me of DC and John Jones. Okay. The one guy that DC could never overcome, John Jones.
Yeah.
And that's what it reminded me of.
DC had a Hall of Fame career, held the belt on a couple of occasions, was able to, be in 2 weight classes and had an amazing career. But you're right. That was his kryptonite.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I think sometimes for people, there's always one guy like that. There's a guy. There's always one guy like that where it's just like, for whatever reason, I can't beat that dude. I don't know what he does.
So what do you think happens next? If in the rematch, who do you think wins?
Go ahead, Stephane.
I would have to say I'm leaning towards, and just on a feeling, I don't know if I can really articulate this, but I just think Izzy. But then again, that thing in the back of my head but you've lost 3 times already to this guy, not knocked out twice. So, but I just think Izzy was so close. It was just like, again, if we see Leon Edwards fight Usman, who do you think's going to win? I think most of us would just say Usman's going to win because it was that just one shot that did it. And in this case, in this fight, it was just that one flurry that did it. Yeah. And but you know why you're asking why does he keep getting beat by this guy? Well, they're both really tall and lanky middleweights. So body-wise, they're very similar, but Periera just has a bit more of that pop in his punches, a bit more of that I can really do damage with one punch. Right. And I think Adesanya doesn't quite have that kind of power to pull it off at any moment. So, guess I'm going off track maybe a little bit there, but there's my thoughts on that. Go ahead, Jason.
Well, you know what? I think maybe he incorporates some more grappling because in round 3, where he did finally take him down, he dominated that round when he did that. So like, and then I mentioned that before. Maybe he should have incorporated more of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I would have definitely, because Periera comes in only having 7 fights in his MMA career. Hasn't been training that for his entire kickboxing career. That was the really good path for Adesanya to win. Adesanya had massive more experience, like 3 times more experience. So, I was really surprised that wasn't the game plan by his team and by himself to, really tip the tables onto his side. The other thing that just came to mind was we saw Peter Yan have the belt Aljamain Sterling beat him. First fight, he won by disqualification. So everybody was like, well, he didn't really beat him, did he? Then he fought him again, and he beat him soundly that second time. And it just seemed to flip the script, change the whole narrative. Peter Yan seemed unbeatable, but Aljamain is now the champion. And it just seemed to change once he beat him that first time, and was able to get him that second time too.
Yeah, for sure. Like it definitely changed the narrative because of the fact that he was able to beat like his boogeyman, right? Yeah. And everybody didn't really give him a shot at being able to beat that guy. Yeah. And then once he did it, once he overcame that, then it's like, all right, no, he's a real champion. He's a true champion.
Okay, I want to talk about the card a little more for sure, but I do want to mention Anthony Rumble Johnson today. Really sad news that he lost his health battle and passed away yesterday at 38 years old. Great, tough, powerful fighter in the UFC and other promotions. A 23-6 record. Was able to fight for the title on a couple of occasions against Daniel Cormier, who we mentioned earlier. And sad to see a guy go. Seemed healthy, seemed powerful, incredible, great athlete, and taken down by some health issues. Sad news, and our condolences go out to his friends and his family. Please just, what were your thoughts when you heard the news?
For me, I was shocked. Yeah. He's 38.
Yeah.
38? Like for me, I'm just like, oh man, like I don't know what health issues obviously he was battling, but that it's just a shame, because like as far as I'm concerned, a man of that in his as healthy as he was shouldn't die at 38.
Yeah,
just that shouldn't have happened. So
yeah, it took a long time for them to reveal the reason in a lot of reports, but I did see that it was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Gave him organ failure. He had also something called HLH, really long couple words that I don't want to even try to pronounce, but I guess this was an immune disorder that he couldn't fight through. I had heard about a year ago that he had put out some tweets saying, please pray for me. I'm going through some really tough health troubles, and he had taken a turn for the better. And there was talk of him fighting again in Bellator or somewhere. And then, something happened. He tried to turn for the worse. And I don't think anybody was in the know. Obviously his friends and family were probably right there. But anybody else, this did come as quite the shock.
Yeah, absolutely did. I didn't find out till this morning, actually. This morning you mentioned it to me, and then I looked it up. I didn't know he was ill at all. I just hadn't real noticed that I hadn't seen him fight in a while. But so sad that such a healthy and strong and young individual can be taken down by cancer still nowadays. What an explosive puncher. What an exciting, explosive puncher, especially I think when he moved up in weight. I can't believe he actually used to fight at welterweight for a while.
Yeah, 170. He fought in 4 weight classes. He had a hard time making weight a lot of his fights. He actually missed weight quite a few times in his MMA career, but fighting at 170 when you saw him actually fighting at light heavyweight, and he even had a fight at heavyweight
with Arlovsky.
Against Arlovsky, exactly. Yeah. And the Glover Teixeira knockout was one of the most powerful, craziest knockouts I've ever seen. And he just had one of those bombs that if he landed it, you were going to sleep, and it was incredible. He just possessed just the absolute bomb in his hand.
Yeah, he had TNT in those hands, man. Like he was so powerful. I always thought that if he had continued fighting, he eventually would have been champion.
Yeah.
I always thought that. Thought that. Like and also too, like that one fight where he had against DC Daniel Cormier.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, What's he doing grappling with that guy? Stand up and throw your punches.
Yeah.
Then that's what he should have done.
Yeah, he had DC in trouble in their first encounter. He really had rocked him, and DC was able to weather the storm and keep at it. But yeah, he took that second loss to Cormier really hard. He decided to retire at that moment. He just couldn't face the facts that he had lost the belt twice. He was scheduled to fight John Jones on a couple of occasions, and it fell apart. One time because John Jones got suspended. Another time, John Jones was, being an idiot like usual. And yeah, but I was disappointed that he left the UFC, retired. Great to see him go in and have one last fight in Bellator, and he got a win. But yeah, this was tough news to hear today. I was really sad to hear that he lost his battle because he gave us a ton of entertainment. Great guy from all accounts, really a sportsman when it came to the people that he was in the cage with. And yeah, this was tough to hear this news.
Yeah, absolutely was. And they say, and you could actually see it. He just seemed like a really genuine, actually sweet person, even though he was a brutal MMA fighter and just a killer. But he seemed to have a big heart and just be a genuine person. One thing though, I got to say, every time he got beat was by I can think of 3 fights, including Josh Koscheck, DC, and Vitor Belfort. All got him the same way. Rear naked choke.
Yeah. That was his kryptonite. Yeah. He wasn't able to fight those off. Yeah.
He didn't know how to get guys off his back. That's one thing it seems like he didn't know. Yeah. And when DC was just such phenomenal wrestling, just that just seemed obvious. But and Vitor, just a great BJJ guy, and then Koscheck was a wrestler as well. So that's where he had his problems. Had he rounded his game a little bit more, or maybe just wasn't his skill set. I don't know, but
yeah,
had he rounded that off a little
usually
bit more.
When you got those TNT in your fists, you fall in love with those, and you don't really want to go to the ground. You don't want to, have to fight that way. And street fights not happening on the ground too often. Most of these guys grow up street fighting, and especially if they start KOing guys early age, you fall in love with that and you think you can do it to everybody. But great career. He'll be sorely missed. We just said goodbye to Elias Theodorou a couple months ago, and it's terrible to see these incredibly athletic, incredible athletes, guys that at the top of their game, and they can be taken away. So it makes you realize you gotta value every day. You gotta stay healthy, but you gotta live for today because you're not promised tomorrow.
Absolutely, you're not promised tomorrow. And then also too, for us as fans, we just have to appreciate them for what they do for as long as they do it.
Sure. Yep. Okay, let's get back to UFC 281. Why don't we talk about fight of the night? Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, 2 incredible warriors. I was just salivating at the prospect of these guys finally getting an opportunity to go in. Chandler's come in recently into the UFC and has had 4 incredible battles before this one. The guy that just doesn't play safe. He just throws the punches and tries to knock the other guy out before he gets done. Poirier played a smart fight, was able to pick his opportunity and get the victory. This was one of my fights of the year, and I'm super glad it happened. And it's good to see Poirier back after losing the belt. That really was hard on him. He said 11 months having to live with that. It was tough, but he gets the victory, and it was fun.
Yeah, Poirier is one of my favorite fighters. I love that guy, and I love the fact that he's truthful with his answers. Like he said in the first round, if Chandler had decided to not throw looping punches at the end and thrown straight punches, he probably would have got him out of there.
Yeah,
he would have lost the fight. Sure. And not a lot of fighters will say that.
Right.
Not a lot of fighters will admit and say, no, I was fine. Nothing was wrong with it. No, Poirier, no, man.
Yeah.
I got hurt very, very badly.
Yeah.
I was hurt, man. So I appreciate his honesty when it comes to that. But again, with Michael Chandler, the man's a warrior. Like, he just goes out there and goes, let's just give the people a show, right? Even if it's at the detriment of, you might not win. You know that, right? If you're gonna fight like that.
Yeah.
But Michael Chandler, I love the way that he goes after a guy. Yeah. And I always forget that dude's got a tremendous amount of power. Oh, like in every one of his fights that he's been in UFC so far, he's hurt his opponent badly at some point in time in the fight.
You're right. Yeah. Stephane, what did you think?
Yeah, as I was saying on Saturday night, like he's got now a losing record in the UFC. Yeah. But does anyone one of us think Dana White is thinking, oh, I got to cut this guy? No freaking way. He's just so exciting. And every fight, and so his 5 fights in, every fight he was on the cusp of winning. Every fight he was on the cusp of winning the title. And it just slipped away from him. Every time he loses, he starts off winning. He starts beating the shit out of these guys. And then these guys, like smart guys that are kind of like maybe a little bit of that more slow twitch fiber, a little bit. He's got all that that fast twitch fiber, that explosiveness. And these guys with like Poirier and Ganji that just have a bit more of that slow twitch fiber and just wait, they weather the storm and then come on to him. But I love seeing him fight. I think we all do, and all UFC fans love him. So he's not getting cut, but he's got. Hopefully he learned, because he's got 2 things he's got very well. He can strike, but he maybe gets a little bit too wild, right?
Yeah.
And he can wrestle. Those 2 things, and those are huge.
Yeah.
Those are huge.
Well, his camp's got to listen to what Poirier said and teach him how to throw these straight shots, because Poirier just said, I was just putting my arms up and he was hitting them. I was able to, wait until he kind of gassed himself out a little bit. Then I could pick a few shots in there and come back on him. And his camp has to learn, hey, we gotta teach this guy. His wrestling's great, his aggression's great, a lot of good things about him, but he needs that element to come into his fights.
He has to be just a tad more tactical in his fights. Yep. Just not to be so reckless and wild. Like you need to focus that to a certain degree, but at the same time, like he just needs just a little bit of tactics.
Yeah,
a little bit more tactics.
Yeah, I agree, and I think he can knock out anybody in that division.
Oh yeah,
he potentially has that power that anybody, he could potentially take out anyone.
Yeah, I hear Poirier Beneil Dariush is a real possibility. Something that looks like it's in the works. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure where Chandler goes from here, but as you say, in the post-fight press conference, Dana White was like, "Oh man, I love this kid. I don't care that he lost. Like he just gave it his all. I love this kid. I'm so happy he's here, and he can keep fighting for me as long as he keeps fighting this way for sure." It was he loves fighters like that, and this guy's got a job for a while. So the co-main event was a mismatch in my opinion. I think that Carla Esparza, it's just not the same type of aggressive fighter that Weili Zhang brings to the table. I think she was the betting favorite on everybody's, betting favorite from Vegas, and everybody really saw this as a bit of a mismatch, and it proved to be. I think Zhang was really upset losing her belt. She's got it back, and now it's going to be hard to wrestle it away from her. This is one amazingly tough woman.
Yeah, she's so good. Like, okay, so Esparza comes into this fight saying, well, my grappling's my best thing. That's my number one. That's my go-to.
Right.
Uh-oh. She's a better grappler.
Yeah.
She out-grappled me. I'm in trouble. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. Zhang out-grappled her, out-strengthed her, and then crucifixed her, and then choked her out. You know what I mean? So like I looked at that entire fight and I'm like, oh man, it's too bad that you have no shot at it.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah, it was an incredible story. She was the very first ever champion in this weight class. She lost her belt to Joanna, and then 8 years later, she was able to reclaim it, even though it was the worst title fight in the UFC history. But she reclaimed it, got it back. Good honor, two-time champion. She can always be called, but just not on the same level. This was a mismatch, and Weili definitely had the win. You were calling it, Stephane, seconds before you said, "Oh, as soon as she gets that arm free, it's done." Yeah. Oh, here it comes. Boom, and it was done. She had her arm trapped a little bit, and then sinks it in, and then yeah, it was over. And welcome to the Weili Zhang show. Do they put her up against Rose? Do you think that's going to be what we're going to see next?
Go ahead, Stephane.
I guess that's the next one in line, but and you guys watched it, and I missed the Rose and Esparza fight, but you guys say it's so terrible that I want to watch it. I got to get around to it. I want to watch it while I'm doing something else, while I'm making pierogies or something. I don't know. But
you'll never get that 30 minutes of your life back.
But who else is in line there? I don't know.
They've talked to Amanda Lemos. Is
right.
They think really has a legitimate shot at this. They might be Dana White might be still mad at Rose for her performance. We just talked about what Chandler was.
Exactly.
Rose was as far from that kind of a performance as he could possibly be. So maybe she doesn't deserve it. I personally don't think she deserves it after her last fight. So, maybe they turn to Lemos, who's on a really good rise and
hungry. And one thing I got to say too is there was a noticeable size difference between Zhang and Carla. Not only maybe a little bit of height, but just the thickness and the muscle density as well. It's like she just looked like, wow, you're gonna and like you say, Jason, her Carla was saying her wrestling's her strongest attribute, but she was getting manhandled there.
Yes,
and it looked like it was going to happen, which isn't always the case. Sometimes someone looks strong and isn't all that strong, but in this case, it certainly was.
Yeah. I've had a hate on for Russian athletes this year. I've been calling them cheating bastards. I've been, saying they're all doing steroids, and it's been proven in many of the athletics around the world. They've been banned from many athletic competitions. I'm worried about Chinese fighters doing the same type of thing. They've got the similar government. They got, they want the will to try to be showing how great communism is on a world stage. I'm worried. This girl went from looking like a girl to looking like a man pretty recently.
Yeah,
this is one. She's like a little tank now. Most athletes don't get that way naturally, unfortunately, and I do worry that maybe she's taken something. Maybe it's a different kind of steroids that's not quite illegal yet. I don't know, but she looked. She looks like a man right now. It's like we would never want to watch a fight with a man and a woman in the cage. This kind of seemed to be that way.
Well, hold on a second. I think personally, I'm just going to play a little devil's advocate. She's just putting in a little bit more CrossFit into her work. That's all it is.
Okay.
Okay.
CrossFit doesn't change your jawline. I mean, if you're fat fuck, it's going to change your jawline, but it's not going to make it that square jawline in the features. Remember, she's wearing a hoodie or something? I said, who's that dude? Oh, and I go, oh, it's Zhang. Yeah. So, no, her facial features are changing, the nose spreading, the jaw just, you're good, Jason. That's or sorry, Darren. That's actually you're right. I didn't even think about that. But
I'm concerned. I know they test for steroids pretty strictly now. Other guys have been caught in the last few years, but I think these governments are always trying to get these athletes to high performance levels. HGH was something that wasn't on anybody's radar. And, we saw Vitor Belfort go from kind of a, out of shape looking guy to like a killer within a year or two. And, there's things out there probably evolving all the time. And to me, she has transformed very significantly in the last couple of years.
But I do want to say this about Vitor, though. I'm just going to make a quick comment. I love Super Vitor. Uber Vitor was awesome.
Oh, he was fun to watch for sure. Yeah.
Fun to watch,
yeah. But it was cheating.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, Alistair Overeem. Maybe she's on the Alistair Overeem diet of just lots of horse meat.
Yeah, right.
He went from a skinny, lanky dude to just jack. And he said, ate lots of horse meat.
Okay, Saturday night, we say goodbye to a legend. Frankie the Answer Edgar has his last fight in the UFC. This is a guy that was undersized his entire career, went into almost every one of his fights as the underdog, pulled off incredible upsets, Hall of Fame career. Sad to see him get knocked out severely in his last fight in front of his kids and his wife, kind of like what you did in the gym about a week ago against a guy and his family, Stephane. But what do you think about this? It's tough when we see these legends end this way, but I guess it was kind of inevitable. But he wanted to fight his last fight in Madison Square Garden. He was able to. Whole entire friends and family and everybody was there. But I wish it didn't end that way.
Yeah, okay. Well, and first off, just to defend myself, I didn't knock a guy out. I poked him out and didn't know he was tapping, just so people were listening.
Okay, all right.
You're tough. And after, as my ear got closer to his lips, I realized he was saying tap. Okay, so that's what happens for anybody listening. It's for Frankie Edgar. I'm just taking a look here. That it's sad, but and he's been knocked out this way a couple times. He's originally a wrestler. He's a smaller guy. He's a shorter guy. And Gutierrez, I think, just knew he was gonna at some point shoot in, and he wasn't really setting it up well with his hands. Gutierrez was really lighting him up with his hands and feet. So he pretty much set up Frankie Edgar to no other thing but to actually shoot in with disregard. And that's what he did. He wasn't setting it up with his hands and striking like he used to in the past and moving as well in and out as he used to. He threw a couple bad feints with his hands and then kind of went down, shot it in, and caught a knee. And he's not his old self anymore. And you could see a watered down version of Frankie Edgar, and unfortunately, that's how it went. I think we all really admire him, but well,
yeah,
and also too, he's 41. He's 41, so he's not a young man anymore. You could tell that yes, you're nearing the end of your career. All right, and then with Gutierrez is very good with his kicks. His kicks is his knees. That's what he's actually known for. Sure. So he was probably waiting, and possibly even baited him into the shot so that he could throw the knee and call it a night. Yeah. Right? And then that's exactly what happened. But I did respect the fact that he was incredibly respectful of Frankie Edgar at the end of the fight.
That was awesome.
A tremendous amount of respect for Frankie.
Yeah. Every time that I see that, it makes me realize how great of a sport this is. And it's one of the greatest. The sportsmanship is just incredible. You you have to knock out your heroes at times, and it's got to feel a little bit bad, especially when you see his kids crying and his wife's upset, and you ended his career, but onwards and upwards for Gutierrez. Great victory for him, and I'm sure we're going to see him fighting some top level competition very soon. The fight that kicked off the main card was just a stupid fight. I hated it. Claudia Pujelas it was a joke. He just kept rolling down on the ground, hoping to get an ankle lock, and Hooker just had to keep pulling his leg away and trying to run away. I just hated this performance by Pujelas, and Hooker. I'm glad he got the win, because this was really irritating to watch.
You know what? Okay, so anytime you see a guy like that, a fighter like that, where he goes, okay, so you got no striking skills. Awesome. Okay, so Hooker knows exactly what he's going to do. Even with that being said, he still almost knee barred him.
He almost got in that knee bar.
He almost got him. Yeah. Even knowing what he's going to do, he still almost got him. So I'll give him a little bit of props for that. But then once Hooker goes, okay, I'm just not going to go to the ground with you, to the mat, because that's dumb. I'm just going to beat you up on my feet. And every time you try to do your Imanari whirl and all that other nonsense, I'm just going to kick out of it. I'm going to demand you stand up and you fight. Yeah. All right? And then that's what he did. And then eventually he ended it with what was that? Like a teep kick to the midsection, I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah, that was his second kick that had knocked him down like that. And I was so happy that the ref jumped in and said, forget this. This guy doesn't deserve to get up anymore. And it was over. What about you, Stephane? What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's got to get a little bit better rounded, get a bit more striking and a bit more conditioning. He seemed to be to fade quite quickly after he attempted the knee bar, almost got it, and then he kept rolling for that. It didn't bug me that much. I thought it was kind of interesting seeing the two completely different and contrasting styles, but still, yeah, it's not a big win for the UFC, really. For a sport as a fight, okay, but for watching it for a lot of spectators, it's not a big win. And when you talk about if they just opened it up and put it on like NBC again, a lot of people are going to just look at this and go, what the hell is that guy doing? That's boring shit.
Yeah, it wasn't a good look for sure.
I think if it was cool, if they scrapped it out for a while and duked it out for a while, and then he went in for the roll and got it and got the knee bar, that would have been more entertaining and interesting. But for him to just attempt like 6 attempts at that, and then Dan Hooker was just stepping away from it,
over and over. Good to see Hooker get a win. He needed one. He had been on a bad roll lately. I like his fighting style. I like what he brings. He needed a win badly, and it's good that he did get a win. The feature fight on the prelims was Brad Riddell, Renato Moicano. Riddell's also from that city kickboxing. That Adesanya, Hooker, Riddell, all these guys are from there. There was 4 fighters on the card from there. Brad Riddell took this loss really hard and almost retired. He said, I'm not sure if I want to continue. I'm taking some serious long time off to contemplate my future. He might be done. Moicano, his post-fight commentary with Joe Rogan in the cage was bleeped out almost the entire thing. I tried to listen to it about 4 times today. I couldn't even make out any of it because there was just so many F's and S's in there and stuff that it was brutal. But Joe Rogan seemed to get a kick out of it. I'll have to ask Joe one day what he said. But big victory by Moicano, and pretty much looked like he's put Riddell into retirement.
Yeah, and it was dominating. Like Riddell he got blown out.
Yeah.
I can see why he's contemplating retirement, because he wasn't really in this fight whatsoever. Like Moicano destroyed him pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. The funny thing, I'm looking at the stats right now. It says significant strikes for Riddell, 14, and Moicano, 10. I don't remember that at all.
No,
Weird.
man, I don't remember that.
What?
I remember that. Yeah, that's weird. I thought that Moicano dominated him in the strikes.
Absolutely dominated him.
This was
absolutely.
this was a beating. This was a bad beating. Riddell was overmatched on this night. Speaking of bad beatings, very bloody. Speaking of bad beatings, Dominic Reyes has fallen really hard. He had John Jones in trouble in his title fight. He was right up there, one of the top fighters in the light heavyweight division, and all of a sudden has fallen on hard times. This was another brutal knockout, and Superman Ryan Spann looked phenomenal. This guy is scary and athletic and talented, but it's amazing how much Reyes has fallen off since that loss to John Jones.
Well, he hasn't won since, has he?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think he has won one out of the past 5 fights. I think so. Yeah.
And also too, the last couple of fights that he has lost have been brutal knockouts.
Yeah.
They've been bad knockouts. So once
good.
those things start stacking up, that's not good.
No.
That is not good for any fighter.
No, it's tough. Yeah. And Stephane mentioned it earlier, taking that lid off, you get that knockout, suddenly, something that you would be able to withstand before, you're not able to anymore. And this could be the end of Dominic Reyes. He's got to really contemplate his future, because this has been tough recently to watch.
Yeah, so I'm just looking up his stats right here. No, he lost to John Jones, and then 3 losses in a row and 3 knockouts.
Wow, tough.
So he didn't look good at all. Walked in with no guard up at all. Walked into Ryan Spann, and I think it was just a collision of 2 guys going in complete opposite directions. Reyes just not what it's like he's just fallen from so high and doesn't look good. He's went completely downhill. Maybe he was rusty, and got to give credit to Spann. He was tight, he was sharp, and we were all commenting about he knocked him out with a jab.
Yeah.
But Cruz walked in with his hands down, and Ryan Spann just threw a jab right bam on the jaw. He was stepping into his jab as well.
Yeah.
But so it was a collision of 2 guys.
Crazy.
Completely different, and that's the result.
Yeah. One's going up, one's going down, and we know how it's working out there. One last fight I want to just comment on before we send you off, Stephane. I know you're turning into a pumpkin any minute here. This fight between Erin Blanchfield and Molly McCann. Molly McCann won a couple fights in the UK, has a huge following behind her. Her and Patty Pimblett seem to be these meteoric superstars rising. The UFC matched her up against somebody that was too high of a competition for her, and Blanchfield just came in, got her into that crucifix, landed so many shots while she had her there. The referee wasn't stopping it, so she had to get her into a submission, make her force a tap. But this was a massive mismatch. I'm surprised when the UFC does this, because they like getting these stars keep rising. Right. If they would have matched Molly against somebody, a little better, I think it would have been better for the UFC, probably better for a lot of things. But there was mismatches on this card, and this was definitely one of them.
Yeah. This was certainly one of them. I guess, though, at some point in time, the UFC has to go, well, is she a real fighter? Is this, what can she really do? So we're gonna put her up against, and then she got starched. That's kind of what happened. It's just like, she got put in that crucifix position, and then she just could not get out of it. She kind of kicked her feet a lot. That did not do anything, and she got punched and elbowed some more, and punched and elbowed some more, until that Kimura. Sometimes, man, when the Kimura gets locked in and you're just like, I don't think your shoulder blade's supposed to do that. You're supposed to do that. It can be pretty brutal. I thought she was going to tap earlier, but I guess she just really wanted to make sure that, she's about to pop my shoulder blade right out of the socket. So, now.
Yeah, I heard Blanchfield talk today and said, I was so close. I didn't really want to pop it out, but I was going to. That's all that it, was going to take. She wasn't going to tap. But, what were your thoughts, Stephane?
I think Molly McCann is still a pretty damn good fighter, but and I think she still has a future. Wow, what a ground game with Blanchfield! Like absolutely dominated, got her into the crucifix, and it's hard to get rained down in crucifix position. From the top position, rain down with really big shots, but she just kept kind of chipping away until she got that arm. And McCann knew she can't get her leg over my head. And remember, she kept stiff arming her head. But finally, Blanchfield hopped over that arm and stepped over her head. And man, was that behind? Like that arm was so. I think she's probably walking around with her arm behind her head. That was so behind her head. She almost scratched the back of her own head there. Wow. Tough girl. But Blanchfield is just a beast. I think all of us were not even all that familiar with her. But now, wow.
She called out both Andrea Lee and Casey O'Neill. She wants to fight in the top 10. She was 12 going in here. Casey O'Neill responded and said, "Hey, I'm injured right now, but I'm coming back soon. Let's do this." I think both of these girls would be heck of opponents for her. And I've seen her a few times, but that was the best performance she's ever put on by far. She's a New Jersey native, so it was fun. She said she had a massive amount of crowd, family and friends in the crowd. And she said, "Look out, I'm coming."
No, she's most certainly coming because she took out a fan favorite. She took out Meatball, and she did it kind of with ease.
There was a couple milestones this weekend. This weekend was 29th year anniversary of the UFC.
Right. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. There was made some mention of it over the weekend. November 12th in Colorado, they had UFC 1. This was also the 7th year anniversary of Ronda Rousey getting head kicked, knocked out, and losing her belt. So a couple of big things happen. They do have these cards in Madison Square Garden every November. The Eddie Alvarez Conor McGregor one was also November 12th, 2016, the highest gate ever at Madison Square Garden. And Madison Square Garden has asked Dana White now for 2 cards a year, and he thinks he's going to be able to pull it off. One in November, one earlier in the year now, forever. But he mentioned a lot of things on the press conference. He said, "I got to get back to Canada. Canada's missing us really bad. I need to get back up there. I haven't been up there for a couple of years now." He mentioned Australia, South Korea's coming, and he said Africa. "I am determined to fight in Africa next year. I'm sending my boys there. They're going to secure a stadium. We're going to make this happen." And that was exciting news for me.
Well, it's about time. It's about time. He's had like a couple African champions. Yeah. He did have a couple. Still has one. But it's about time. They should be there. They should have been there for a while now. And I'm glad to see that, if the UFC says it's a global sport, then be global. Got to go everywhere.
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah. I know, Stephane, it's time for you to go. Thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate this hour you've spent with us. Thanks for coming out on Saturday night. We had a blast. We got to do it at the next big card before you go away to Mexico for your holidays. And thanks a lot, man. This was a great fun weekend, and this was fun to do tonight.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was good seeing you guys again, and it was good talking about the fights. And thank you, Jason, for the shots as well. And
thanks for the bottle of tequila. Thanks for the bottle of tequila. I appreciate it. No
problem. Straight
and those Burt Reynolds were great, Jason.
Yeah. Anytime. Okay, guys, I got to put the kid to sleep.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Take
Good
care.
night,
We'll talk
guys.
soon.
Okay, bye now.
Talk soon. Thanks, buddy. Okay, Jason. This was fun. Nice to have him join us. That was great on Saturday, and fun to break it down today too.
Oh, always fun. Always fun. It's always great when we get together.
There was an announcement today on a interim featherweight title fight. Josh Emmett, Yair Rodriguez are going to fight on the Perth, Australia card, UFC 284. Because Volkanovski is fighting Makhachev, they decided to make an interim title fight, and they'll be on the same card. And probably it gives them an opportunity, if Volkanovski falls off, that they might be able to replace him with either one of these guys, I guess. But interesting to hear there'll be an interim featherweight champion in February.
That is the most interesting matchup you could possibly ever have, because those are two individuals with very different styles of fighting.
Yeah.
Like incredibly different styles of fighting. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued by that fight. I'm intrigued.
Emmett, I think he's on a 7-fight winning streak, and Rodriguez is 9-2 in the UFC, and he's had a lot of amazing performances. Super excited, and I think it'll be great to see this matchup. That card is becoming even more and more intriguing on February in Australia. That Volkanovski Makhachev fight, super excited about that one.
Oh yeah. I think that's going to be one heck of a barn burner, that fight. I think it's interesting that Makhachev's first title defense is against the guy that's coming up to fight him, like a champion that's coming up to fight him.
Yeah.
So it's cool, because we're just going to get to see just how good Islam Makhachev is. We already know that he's obviously very good. Now we're really going to see just how good he is.
Volkanovski is might be a champ just like that. There's only a select few guys that are champs, so pretty amazing. Yeah. So okay, let's look ahead to next week. There's an early card back to Vegas. They decided to put a card on really early, 10 a.m. prelim start here in the Pacific Coast time zone, 1 o'clock for the main card. Main event is a heavyweight battle against Derek the Black Beast Lewis and Sergey Spivak. Love seeing Lewis, one of my most favorite fighters. He most always brings it. I've seen him have a couple duds, but he's fun, and there should be a KO in this one, I would think.
Yeah, somebody's getting knocked out. Like that's the way I always look at it with any of these heavyweights, because they have such an amazing amount of power, and Derek Lewis is probably the strongest out of all of them. He probably has the most power out of any heavyweight in the UFC in that division. So I'm looking forward to seeing a violent stoppage.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Another heavyweight fight on the card has Chase Sherman and Waldo Cortez Acosta. Acosta just fought a couple weeks ago. And
that's right.
So what's that?
That's right. He did just.
Yeah. So amazing that he's back on a card so quickly. The co-main event, Kennedy and Njokuantu and Ion Cutelaba, the Hulk. Both these guys are powerful as hell. I think we're gonna see some KOs these top 3 fights. It's gonna be knockouts. In that card this past Saturday, there was 7 first round finishes. I think we're gonna see quite a few on this one for sure.
I think so. I think you're absolutely right. And the fight that I'm actually looking forward to on the main card, Andre Filio, Muslim Salikov. Yeah, I think that's going to be a great fight. Yeah, good matchup. Very good.
Yeah, you're right. Looking awesome. These cards are always great. We're just treated to an incredible run for the UFC. The UFC seems to be just getting better and better every year. Since this pandemic, I think it even took 10 steps forward. On the 29th year that this sport has been competing, this definitely premier organization in that world And every week we're getting to see amazing fights. That was a hell of a fun night. I'm glad we could all do that. And it was great to break it down too. Nice to be able to, all three of us, to get together and do this.
Oh yeah, no, it is. It's always good. It's always good when we get together, and it was great that Stephane could join us for this evening.
Yeah. Okay, let's turn to the NFL. Massive shock tonight. There is no undefeated teams left in the NFL. The Philadelphia Eagles lost 32-21 to the Washington Commanders tonight.
What?
Absolutely amazing. Nobody expected this. The Miami Dolphins are celebrating. They crack champagne every time there is the last undefeated team gets beat. The 72 Dolphins team, whoever's left from that team, cracks some champagne, drinks it down. And it's amazing that football's been around for 50-something years, and there's only been one undefeated team. I thought the Eagles were going to easily win this and keep on rolling, but Washington had an amazing game plan, tons and tons and tons of running, keeping Jalen Hurts and that dynamic Philadelphia offense off the field. And Commanders are 5-5, and the Eagles are 8-1. What a crazy night.
I never would have thought that the Washington Commanders would even be at 500, to be honest with you. Yeah. That they could get to 5-5, or that they could beat the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm like, okay, I'm looking at that game saying, how bad did they beat the Commanders?
Yeah.
Like 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns. Yeah. That's actually what I was thinking, not the other way around.
Yeah, because Thursday night was a complete snoozer. I didn't even bother watching this. I thought tonight, I probably won't be that interested in it. And I get home, and the Commanders are already leading. They rushed the ball 49 times tonight and dominated the time of possession. In the end, they had 40 minutes, 24 seconds of possession, and the Eagles had 19 minutes and 36 seconds. They had 330 yards, and the Eagles had 264, but it was a huge disparity before that. Just the third down efficiency. They got 12 third downs, 1 for 1 on their fourth downs, and it was a brilliant performance. I was super blown away and impressed that they were able to game plan it. Taylor Heineke played pretty good. Didn't make too many mistakes, got 1 pick, but Terry McLaurin had a great night with 8 catches, 128 yards through the air, but nobody else did much through the air. They just decided to do the ground attack. Brian Robinson got a touchdown. Antonio Gibson got a touchdown, and they ended up getting a touchdown at the end when the Eagles were lateraling the ball back and forth to try to go down the field. But massive win. It really, I think shocks the world to see the Eagles lose to the Commanders, because Commanders were last in this division, and interdivisional games sometimes can be harder, but you just didn't think this was even going to be close.
No, I didn't think it was going to be close, and maybe the Commanders are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, knowing that their dark shadow, Dan Snyder, is leaving eventually. Yeah. That shadow, that horrible culture, toxic culture that he's created over there. All of a sudden, hey, we got hope, because I think he's gonna be out of here.
Yeah. That's a very good point. I brought that up last week, that he finally decided to put them on the up for sale, and that dark cloud's finally blowing away, and maybe this will turn the corner for this franchise. They still are at the bottom of this division, because Eagles are 8-1, Giants are 7-2, Cowboys are 6-3. They're 5-5 now, but that actually starts putting themselves in a little bit of a possibility to even make the playoffs as a wild card team. That's crazy.
Yeah, which I didn't think was possible either, like ever. Yeah. But now there's a possibility for that happening.
Yeah. Okay, great weekend. Lots of really, really big games. My favorite game of the weekend was the Vikings-Bills. I texted you and said, hey, are you watching this thing? This is crazy. And the game had everything. It was just insane. For the Bills to stop the Vikings, first and goal, stop them 4 times, stop them at the half-yard line, and look like they had the game won. And then Josh Allen doesn't touch the football, loses it as a fumble in the end zone. Vikings get a touchdown. Now he gets the ball back with less than a minute left, has to march down, get that field goal, but the Vikings get the ball, march down, and win the game. This was a crazy, amazing game. Some of the greatest catches you ever see. Some just everything. It had everything in this game.
It was absolutely amazing. It was amazing because I saw some of the game. I saw some of it, but then I had to rewatch some of it like off the YouTube and stuff.
Yeah.
And I gotta be honest, man. Once the Vikings were down and they got stopped, I'm like, oh, the game's over. Game's over. All right. Like, then the game's over. Like there's no way that they're able to turn this around. And then they turned it around. Right. And they scored the touchdown. I'm like, wait, what? How is this happening? Like it's just like, but even for them to get down there, to give themselves a chance, the Vikings to give themselves a chance to score, that catch by Justin Jefferson was one of the most ridiculous catches I've ever seen. I've been watching football for like 30 years. I've never seen a catch like that.
It reminded me of Odell Beckham, but the cornerback had both of his hands on the ball.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case with Beckham. This guy had the ball. He had possession of the ball. And somehow with one hand in there, he's able to, as they're going down, scoop it away from him and get possession. To jump up and actually get his hand on the ball and to be able to pull it down. It was miraculous, incredible, spectacular. One of the greatest catches I've ever witnessed. And I watched it so many times yesterday, had to watch it a bunch of times today. This has to go down as, top 5 catches of all time. And Jefferson, what a game, like 10 catches, 193 yards and a touchdown. He's just getting better and better and better. And Cousins, with this weapon, it makes the Vikings very, very, very dangerous. To be 7-1 and kicking everybody's butt like this. 8-1, sorry, 8-1 now. This is this is starting to become a legitimate team that you have to give props to.
I you know what? You're absolutely right. I had my question marks and I kept saying it, but they beat the Bills now. You beat the Bills, and so I'm gonna start looking at them like they're a real team. Yeah. And Justin Jefferson has really come into his own. I would say that how you always picking a hero. That dude was the hero.
Yeah,
he was a hero for this week because like the numbers he put up, the catches that he made. Oh yeah, man.
The incredible thing about this game was pre-game they really started highlighting Stephane Diggs against Justin Jefferson, and Stephane Diggs was there. He had that miracle in Minnesota catch that won them the game a couple years back. That was just one of those shocking moments where you're like, he caught that, oh my god, and they won the game on his touchdown. Minnesota fans were super upset when they decided to trade him. And Diggs ended up, the draft pick that they got from that trade was Justin Jefferson. And so pretty neat that, these guys were able to compete against each other and show that they're both super elite. Jefferson might have just put himself a tiny bit above Diggs, maybe. And Diggs had a catch in this game too that was ridiculous. A one-handed grab that he just jumped up in the air, stabbed it with one hand, and brought it down too. These guys are two of the best in the business.
Yeah, and Diggs had a great game too. 12 receptions, 128 yards. Like he had a fantastic game. Like it was a great game to watch. It was just a fantastic game. Yeah. Now, if there's a game that's better than this at some point in time this season, man, I can't wait to see what that looks like.
No
kidding. Because I would say right now this is the game of the year.
This is the game of the year, yeah. Josh Allen, I just love watching this guy. I could watch him play football 24 hours a day, man. Oh my God. He is just such a huge beast. He is just incredible. He has everything that you want. If you had to say, okay, I want you to sculpt the ultimate quarterback. Here you go. You have a 6'5" piece of clay here. This is who we need. He would be the guy. Like, I watched him and just, holy cow. I thought in overtime he was going to march that team down and they were going to win the game. He threw that pick, and that was his kryptonite there. That was the problem. But man, his when you just watch this guy, it's insane what he does. He puts up 330 yards passing, and he puts up about 100 yards rushing too. He gets the ball and he just powers through guys, runs them over, and throws the ball down and says, "Let's go, let's do it again." And I just love it. This is a fun guy. Buffalo is lucky to have this guy as their signal caller.
Oh yeah, absolutely. 6 carries, 84 yards, right? And some of those yards, that was tough running. Lower the shoulder and running through people.
Yeah.
I'll run through you.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that about his game, where he's like, sliding, I could do that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go through your chest instead. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. He doesn't slide. He doesn't shy away from hits. He usually initiates the contact, and it's fun to watch. They've been struggling outside of him. They've been struggling in the ground game this year. They only had 1 touchdown on the ground coming in. Singletary chipped in this game with 2 touchdowns on the ground, and maybe that's turning a corner a bit for them. But this was a tough loss for Buffalo for sure, but a massive win for Minnesota. They've really put themselves far and away ahead of the Packers in that division, and looking like one of the top elite teams in the league. And we kept thinking, these are pretenders. They're not contenders. But after this win, I think a lot of people are going to give them props.
Yeah, I think they've convinced a lot of people. I know they've convinced me, as I still had a question mark on them, but that's a statement win. That's a big time statement win.
The other game of the weekend, in my opinion, was the Packers and the Cowboys. There was only 3 games in the afternoon window, so this was a feature game for me, and it was also a back and forth affair. Cowboys seemed to have everything going their way, 28-14 going into the fourth quarter. They were in franchise history 195-0 with a 2 touchdown or better lead going in, and they had never lost a game like that. Aaron Rodgers salvaged their season. They still might be done, but salvaged their season with a huge comeback and got the win in overtime. This was a great game as well. It was fun that it went into overtime. The coolest part was I got a text from my dad, and he says, I don't want either team to win. And I'm like, yeah, me either. I hate both of these franchises, but it's a fun game to watch, and I'm kind of actually glad that the Packers won because they can stay a little bit relevant, and the Cowboys have already had a good year. They're still in the mix for sure, but fun game, man. Both teams played great, but Aaron Rodgers pulled this out.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers pulled it out, and he had help from
Watson, like, wow, career day, rookie with 3 touchdowns. Oh man, he only had 4 catches. 3 of them.
Only had 4 catches. Yeah, exactly. And that's the crazy thing. It's like I had 4 catches and 3 of them were touchdowns. That's who I am.
Yeah,
right here. He was a stud. He was a stud in that game, man, big time.
Aaron Rodgers has criticized this kid, has shaken his head a few times when he dropped balls, when he ran wrong routes. And Aaron Rodgers has not been a great teammate this year, as we've mentioned a few times, but Watson stepped up and had a great game. Aaron Jones, he's been really lethal for the last couple seasons. This was another really good performance by him, 138 yards in the ground and a touchdown. And he even had a couple catches. Dallas was never supposed to lose this game, but Aaron Rodgers said, hey, we cannot lose, and he willed this team to win. Had a great performance. wasn't on his arm. Didn't throw a ton, but that with that ground attack and him through the air to Watson, they got a big victory here.
Oh, they got huge victory, because they could have easily lost this game, but they battled. They kept battling, and they kept battling. They had to come back, being down, to win this game. It was a very impressive win by the Packers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I watched the early game. I left you late Saturday, and I thought, oh man, I gotta get home. Holy cow, I gotta get up early. I gotta watch this Germany game. First time the regular season's ever in Germany in the NFL, and it was the Seahawks and Bucks. I was looking forward to this matchup a lot. I thought the Bucks were going to win. I thought Tom Brady had turned the corner last week, getting that come from behind victory, and the Bucks did pull out a tight game against the Seahawks. It was a fun game to watch. Really cool to see all the German fans and see all the German architecture, a lot of buildings. They did a lot of really cool shots of this city, and it was fun. What did you think when you saw the highlights?
Great game. I thought the thing that kind of changed a little bit for the Bucks was they had a little bit more of a ground attack in this one. Like Fournette, had 14 carries, 57 yards, and a touchdown. Like they had a little bit of a running game, and then with White, obviously 22 carries, 105 yards.
Yeah,
they had a running attack. That's what was been missing.
Yeah,
they didn't have a balance. Like you can't have old man Brady throwing the pigskin like 45 times a game. Like what are you doing?
Yeah,
save that golden arm. All right.
Yeah, it was dumb.
That down the line at the end of the season, going into the playoffs. So I respected the fact that we finally saw a running game for the Bucks, and then I thought that was the difference in the game.
Yeah, I said it to you on Saturday. I said, they got to get a running game, or else this team sunk, and they finally were able to. Seahawks have been suspect at times, stopping the run this year, and that was their, that was the game where they didn't get one. Godwin finally got his first touchdown of the season. Pretty crazy that it's taken him this many games to get there. I had a fun moment in this game where Tom Brady went out in coverage, and they just handed the ball off, and he was wide open. They didn't even pay him any attention, and they ran the ball on a sweep the other direction. And I think he went into the huddle and said, hey, nobody covered me on this one. We should run that play again. So they ran that play again. They gave the ball to Fournette, and Brady ran out, and he looked like about a 70-year-old man running. Did you see the play? Did you see it?
No.
Oh my God. He looked so slow. And then he slipped and fell, and it was picked off. Fournette's pass was picked off, the only pass he threw. And they went, no, Tom, no, we're not doing that ever again. Sorry about that. It made me laugh a lot. Oh my God, you got to see it. It was just so funny to watch.
Well, because I'm sure it looked like is he moving in slow motion, or is he speed walking? Is that what he's doing?
he even got a penalty because when he fell onto the ground and then the ball was picked, he tripped the guy with his foot, and he even got a penalty to even add more salt to the wound there. It was probably my funniest moment of the weekend. Made me laugh a lot.
Well, you know what? It's like, I think he's like, oh, this one's for the boys. This one's for the boys. All right.
Yeah. We've been talking about Hero of the Week. Let's get into some of the contestants. We've mentioned a few of them already, and I want to mention a couple more. Josh Allen, actually, I forgot to mention when we were talking about him. He came into this game with supposedly an elbow injury that they weren't even sure he was going to start this game. He had a UCL problem, and they were like, I don't know if Josh is playing. He did, and had a phenomenal game. 330 yards through the air, 1 touchdown, 84 yards on 6 carries. Just great. And in that same game, Singletary with 2 rushing touchdowns. Diggs, 128 yards through the year. But in this game, it's Justin Jefferson with that 193 yards. And yeah, man, I want to watch that catch over and over and over again. We didn't even mention Dalvin Cook. He only had 14 carries, but he had 119 yards on the ground and another 27 through the year with a touchdown on the ground. And Kirk Cousins, 357 yards through the air and a touchdown. I mentioned Aaron Jones. I think Justin Fields gets my hero of the week. You can tell me who yours is. Justin Fields set another couple records this week. He got 2 touchdowns on the ground, 2 touchdowns through the air, and over 100 yards. No quarterback in NFL history has ever done that. And 555 yards in the last 5 games by him rushing, set another NFL record. And yeah, man, this guy is just becoming super elite and almost unstoppable.
He's coming into his own. Yeah. And you know what? I'm glad that the Bears organization said, you know what? Fine, we'll trust you. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's what's going to happen.
Took him a while. Yeah. Yeah. I was super choked at the beginning of the year because they were not even giving him an opportunity. But Chicago set a dubious record, though. They are the first team in NFL history to score 29 plus points in 3 straight games and lose all 3. Once they got rid of some of these guys on defense, it seemed like the white flag was being waved, and they shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have done that. This guy has the ability to take them far if they have a defense as well, but there's only so much this Superman can put on his cape. If he's got no help on D, they're going to keep losing games, unfortunately.
Yeah, because he's just like, okay, I get it. Just got to keep scoring for the entire game. And I can't stop because I got no defense to help me out. It sucks, but at least we're being entertained with the fact that, my goodness, is he incredibly talented. Like, and the wheels on him too. Like that one run that he broke out to the right and managed to cut it back into the middle. I think 71-yard run or touchdown. I'm like, oh, that is impressive. Yeah. That is impressive. Like even last week where Tua was like from the other team from Miami going, how many yards that dude have? Like, he's just like, that's impressive.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. When another opposing quarterback says that, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. By the way, Tua actually had a great game too.
Sure.
He had a fantastic way. 285 yards, 3 touchdowns. My hero though is Justin Jefferson. I'm sorry, man. Like that, he had an incredible game. Yeah. Incredible catches. Came up big where he needed to come up big.
Yeah, and that was massive to get them to 8-1 and so great. We mentioned Christian Watson. CeeDee Lamb had a big game, 150 yards through the air and a couple touchdowns. Who else do I want to mention? Oh, Patrick Mahomes, another 4-touchdown game. And, Jeff Wilson really fitting in with Miami well there. He's he got a lot of yardage, and that was a big pickup by them. Jonathan Taylor, 147 yards on the ground and another touchdown. Matt Ryan, we saw him come back, and he got a win. Jeff Saturday gets the victory in his coaching debut. He decided last minute, no, I'm not going with the rookie. I'm going with the veteran. Put Matt Ryan in there, and they get a win in Jeff Saturday's debut. There was a lot of controversy that they were tanking. They wanted to get top draft pick by going with a guy that's never had any coaching experience at the college or NFL level, and they threw Saturday in there, and he gets a victory in his first game.
Yeah, good on him. Good on him. Hey, man, like he trusted his instincts, his gut. Went with the old man, Matty Ice. He said, "You think you got one more in you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah,
you got to do it.
I would have loved to be a fly on the wall with that conversation. And, I'm glad they went with Matty Ice. I love that guy, and we can wait for the Sam Ehlinger or whatever. We can wait another year. I wish Matty would play the rest of the season right out, and the Colts still have an opportunity. They're not bad. They could pull this off with the big coaching change. You mentioned Miami and Tua. Wow, what a blowout! 39 points put up. This team, as I mentioned many times this year, they got these. They got Tyreek Hill. They got some extra weapons. Wilson now on the ground. This team is scary.
Yeah, they got weapons everywhere. Like they just got weapons. They got people that can hurt you everywhere, all across the field. And Tua's playing great. He's playing very accurate, very smart football right now.
Yeah.
And I'm just really happy to see that he's gotten over his concussion and he's playing awesome.
Yeah. Another 3 touchdowns, no picks. Great. It's amazing that they got both Wilson and Mostert out of San Fran. They obviously love that running attack. San Fran has had the best running attack for the last 2 or 3 years. Christian McCaffrey goes there now, so now we can get Wilson out of there, and he's fit in like a glove. Incredible. Not as huge performances from Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle as we've normally seen, but when you put up 39 points, that's pretty good.
No, that's good. That's good. That's really good. And you know what? Those guys didn't actually have to put up huge numbers for this game for them to win. So.
Yeah. In a strange, quirky part of the schedule, the Chargers actually play the Sunday nighter 2 weeks in a row, and they lost to the Niners in a tough game. I don't know what's wrong with the Chargers right now. I guess having Keenan Allen and Mike Williams still hurt just seems to be too much to overcome. Eckler has been trying to do some damage, but this was a tough loss for the Chargers, losing to the Niners in a close game.
Yeah, tough loss. I kind of think Herbert's still dealing with something because he was injured before, and I still think he's struggling with said injury. I think it's still bothering him, and the fact like you just said, he's missing his 2 top guys, his 2 top receivers.
Yeah,
kind of hard to win games when 2 of your best receivers are not there for
very
weeks
tough.
after week after week. So
it's been too bad. I was quite concerned. Herbert got hit, helmet to helmet hit. The guy got tossed out of the game for the hit. Wasn't I've seen worse, but they pulled him off for concussion protocol. It seems like he's fine, but that's always tough these days, especially after Tua went through those concussion issues. Now they're getting even tougher and tighter on that, but I think he's going to be good going forward.
Yeah, I think so too. But it was kind of a vicious hit, man. I don't know if Greenlaw intended it for that to be like that. No. I think Herbert stumbled, and then it just had it was like a bang bang play.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it didn't look good. It didn't look good.
No, it was helmet to helmet. Spun Herbert's face around. He had been trying to duck a little bit, and he kind of got hit at the same time on the other side of him. So it wasn't a vicious tack that you were definitely like, holy crap, kick that guy out of the game. I was a little surprised that he got booted out, but they're getting pretty strict on these hits now.
Well, yeah, and as they should. They're trying to protect everybody as best they can, because I remember there was a certain guy that used to do that intentionally, Rodney Harrison.
Yeah.
So luckily it wasn't Rodney Harrison doing that hit, or else it's like, oh no, he's out. So
yeah. I mentioned concussion. I'm going to get into some injury talk. Juju Smith-Schuster went into concussion protocol and is probably going to miss a couple of games. They think there was some pretty bad injuries this weekend. Cooper Kupp got hurt and looks like he's going to be out for an extended period of time. Has a bad high ankle sprain and is out. Jerry Jeudy from the Broncos also wide out. He has a high ankle sprain. Usually, though, it keeps guys out typically between 2 and 6 weeks, sometimes about a month, but not good for both guys. Zach Ertz, the Cardinals tight end, got a bad knee injury yesterday. And speaking of the Chargers with Herbert, their tight end, Gerald Everett, left that game with a groin injury, and they said it doesn't look good. So tough. A lot of stars getting hurt yesterday. I always hate to see that.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks whenever anybody gets hurt like that, and especially when they're players that the team relies on, and then now they're going to be unavailable for a certain amount of time.
Yeah. Titans beat the Broncos. Broncos are just the worst offensive team in the league right now. They're just having struggles. It's not good there. Giants. Can you believe the Giants record? I'm stunned that they're 7-2. They're the top wild card team right now in the NFC and rolling along. Beat the Texans, who everybody can beat, but Saquon Barkley having a phenomenal year. 35 carries, 35. That's a bell cow workhorse. Holy crap! He was handling the rock all game.
Yeah, man. They just said, it's all you, buddy. It's all you, and we're just gonna keep giving you the rock. 35 carries. That's a ton of carries, man. But 152 yards and 1 touchdown. Again, I love restating this fact that Barkley has something to prove this year, and he is most certainly proving it.
Comeback player of the year, in my opinion, for sure. And just having a great season. Darius Slayton, he's an elite star too. He only had 3 catches for basically 100 yards and a touchdown. His 1 touchdown was amazing. What a speedster, and they've got 2 huge weapons there. And 7-2, second place in the entire conference. I guess the Vikes are tied now, so I guess they would be considered third place in the conference. But yeah, phenomenal year for the Giants. Sort of unexpected by everybody.
Yeah, very unexpected, but I think at least their hard work has been well rewarded this season.
Steelers got a big win, mostly because of their defense. TJ Watt coming back, huge. They lost Minkah Fitzpatrick, but a nice victory for them. But both teams are out of it and having a tough year. This Cardinals Rams game is really weird because they had both backup quarterbacks in there. Rams though, man, they have how the mighty have fallen. They are just terrible this year. They are, the defending champions are on the ropes and looking like playoffs will not be in their future in this season.
No, the playoffs aren't going to be in their future because their stud that they relied on with the season, the one guy that they could rely on is now hurt. Yeah. So I'd say that it's over. Let's close the book on it. We tried, boys, really did. Let's retool. Let's re-up for next year because I just don't see them coming back now. I really don't, especially with Cooper Kupp being out probably 3, like you said, anywhere between 3 to 6 weeks. No, man. Sorry.
Yeah, you don't want to risk him. So high ankle sprains, very tough for a receiver to have to endure. This is the backup battle of the backups. And Colt McCoy looked pretty good. Wolford, not so much. And Cardinals knocked off the Rams and put the Rams at 3-6. Quite shocking. Very strange to see, them, the best team in the league last year, and then, to fall off the rails like this. The only other team that's been, there's 2 teams that are just as disappointing. Raiders and the Broncos, two teams that everybody thought a lot better things were going to come out of them. But the Rams, I think a lot of them are really shocked that they were the best team in football this year or last year and not this year for sure.
Yeah, I know. It is shocking. I thought they would be a heck of a lot better than what they are, but you know what they say? It is what it is.
Yeah. Um, that concludes our NFL look. Thursday nighter coming up. Titans Packers. Really looking forward to that game. Should be a fun matchup. Jets and Patriots, a divisional matchup there. There's some good games on the slate for this coming weekend. As I mentioned, the Sunday nighter has the Chiefs or has the Chargers playing a game. They play the Chiefs. And a divisional matchup for the Monday nighter 1 week from tonight, 49ers and Cardinals. Probably the game of the weekend is shaping up to be the Cowboys Vikings. The late window on Sunday. I think that'll be must watch TV.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. Hopefully we get something reminiscent to what the Packers did with the Cowboys or what the Vikings did with the Bills, or a combination of both. I'll take either one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot to live up to, but yeah, well, hopefully they can deliver. Okay, I had hero of the week. I've been giving up a zero of the week. There wasn't really anybody in the NFL. There wasn't really anybody in the UFC. There wasn't anybody in basketball. I decided to talk about this school shooting that happened this weekend at the University of Virginia. An ex-football player on the University of Virginia football team shot and killed three of his former teammates, shot a couple others that are still in hospital recovering. This has to stop. This kind of stuff has to friggin' stop. Why are we talking about school shootings time after time after time after time, and nothing seems to change? This disgusting, and this guy has snuffed out the lives of these kids playing football, and has devastated this community, devastated this university, changed lives, and for what? I just this has to stop. This has to friggin' stop.
Yeah, you would think so. You'd think that the politicians would want it to stop. You think that something would happen to mitigate change on some sort of level, national level, local or national, and we still haven't seen it. It's almost as if the American government just like, what do you want us to do about it? Do you want us to actually do something about that? If you actually have kids, and there's been more of a push now from the children saying, well, if you're not going to do anything, I don't know. I thought you guys were the adults. We would love to be protected.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. Because we're kind of sick of dying. We don't like that.
Yeah, maybe we have to give the zero of the week to the government. I don't know who we have to hold to account for this, but yeah, it's crazy that you go to school. They say we're the most powerful nation in the world, best country in the world, and going to school is a life. You're putting risk on your life by just going to school. Come on, what the hell? I don't want to go to war myself. I don't want to be in war. Do I want to educate myself? Oh, maybe not, because I might get killed. That should never be a thought in any kid's brain.
No, it should absolutely never be a thought in any kid's brain. School should be a safe place. It should be a place of higher learning, not a place where could get shot. No, man. That is not a thing that should ever be happening.
Disgusting and brutal, and I'm sick about it, and I hope one day we just see an end to these, and they got to make some big changes. It's got to change, because this just should not be happening anymore. It's horrible. I actually did want to mention one more thing about the NFL. Odell Beckham Jr. is rumored to be going to many of the contenders. He wants to go to somewhere that has an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. He's being highly sought after. The Rams used him last year to come in and open up lanes for some of their other wideouts. And there's been a lot of talk of him. Who's he going to go to? We'll see what happens in the coming weeks. But there was news today that he has decided to sue Nike. This is his words. They have swindled him out of $20 million by suppressing sales of his merchandise to avoid triggering bonuses and extensions. The lawsuit was filed today in Oregon, where Nike was originally founded. He has a huge, long laundry list of reasons why he thinks that they are trying to screw him and not pay him. And the 30-year-old has exercised his right to sue, and this will be a broken relationship. He will not have a shoe deal anymore. But this was crazy news. I read this story today, and it kind of shocked me.
Yeah, that is shocking. And also, too, the fact that he went forward, that means he's got proof.
Maybe he has some proof.
Yeah. He's got to have proof. Like, you have to have something. You can't just, it can't be like no paperweight. You know what I mean? Like, that there has to be legitimate proof that he knows something shady has gone on, and he has the proof to prove it, because the burden of proof is on him to show what they've done to him. So,
totally, yeah, we'll see how this plays out in court. It might get settled out of court and we won't hear anything, but let's hope we hear some more details about it in the coming days and weeks. Okay, let's finish with the NBA super quick. We can't get into it much. This has been a long podcast already. We're both tired and ready to go. The players of the week this week in the East was Joel Embiid, player of the week in the Eastern Conference, career high 59 points last night. Absolute monster performance, the highest point total of any player this year. And holy cow, the highlights were pretty damn impressive. This guy was a monster.
Yeah, he was an absolute monster. Could not be stopped, would not be stopped. And they take out a surprisingly good Jazz team.
Yeah.
Surprisingly good Jazz team. So good on Embiid. And then last night, there was another guy that dropped a 50 spot as well. Darius Garland.
Yeah. 51.
51 points.
Yeah.
51 points, 6 assists. Very impressive.
Yeah.
And then I think that's like its fourth game back too. Dropped 50.
Yeah, that was impressive. I took him in my DraftKings yesterday, and he got me a massive amount of points. Embiid got me 100 fantasy points, and Garland got me 70 something. And I picked Garland because Mitchell was hurt and he wasn't going to play, so I figured he was going to get the bulk of the carries. He was going to get the bulk of the shots, and you have to run the offense through him. And man, what a performance in 40 minutes, 51 points. You've been talking about him all year, and he really broke out yesterday.
Oh yeah, man. Like I love the Cavs. The Cavs are for real. They are for real. And for that guy to do that, he just kind of got back to the team and was like, "Oh, Donovan's not here. Great, I get to go off."
Yeah. They had a few injuries yesterday. They lost to the T-Wolves, which was kind of shocking, but yeah, what a game by Garland. The Western Conference Player of the Week was Steph Curry. He's actually having his best career numbers in two-time MVP, 4 championships. He's actually having the best start to a season that he's ever had. This is crazy. And he's 35 years old. Man, this guy, wow, amazing. They are struggling, winning 0-7 on the road for the first time in decades, but Steph is not the reason. Oh, he's having a great game.
No, he is definitely not the reason, and especially a couple games back where he single-handedly brought them back and beat the Cavs. He did all of that.
Yeah.
It was all on him. It was, and he was unconscious. He did everything in his power to win that game, and he won that game for them. So I hope that the Golden State, they manage to get it together, because, like, again, their weak point right now is their defense. Their defensive rotations are not good. Their defense is just not good. There's not enough effort being given on the defensive end for the Golden State Warriors. That's what needs to change. But Steph, all that dude needs to do is just keep doing what he's doing. Yeah. He's fantastic. He's great. And then hopefully Clay, as the season goes on, he's going to begin to start rounding back into his Klay Thompson form.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The Raptors had a great victory tonight. They were able to beat the Pistons 150-111. Canadian off the bench, Delano Banton, top scorer, 27 points. And Chris Boucher, also off the bench, was the second leading scorer with 20, both Canadians. They played OKC the other night, and there was 5 Canadians on the floor at one time. It was awesome to watch. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is just phenomenal this year. Luguentz Dort has been great, super solid in the post for them. And Canadians are really lighting it up around the league, and great to see 2 Canadians contribute to a big win for the Raptors today.
Yeah. Big win by the Raptors. And going back with Gilgeous-Alexander and Dort, like even yesterday where they played the Knicks, they were instrumental in that win. Gilgeous-Alexander had 37 points, Dort had 24 points in a very high-scoring game against the Knicks, 145-135.
Holy crap. Yeah, that's massive. Yeah, that's incredible high-scoring game.
Yeah, not a lot of defense, though.
No. We mentioned Steph Curry. Steph Curry is actually on pace to break his 3-pointer record again. It's early, but 403, I believe, is the record, and he's on pace for 420, something like that. And,
if he actually does that, if he actually breaks his ridiculous record where, because 403s in a season, like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? What do you mean?
It's insane.
Yeah. Like, if he can actually break that, then okay, cool, awesome. You are awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Trailblazers are surprising the league. They're 9-4, top of the West. Also, Nuggets 9-4. Jazz, you mentioned as a surprise too. Still there, 10-5. This week 4 of the NBA shaping up pretty good. 1 month in, and looking pretty cool, pretty fun. Lots of great stories. We'll have to follow it closely. The Warriors game is, I think, still currently on. Is it still on? I've recorded it for tonight. I'm going to watch it probably in a little bit. But anyway, man, this was a fun podcast, as I said earlier. Great to have Stephane on. Great to hang out with you guys this weekend. Thanks for making the effort. And thanks again for doing this one.
Oh, of course. Anytime, my friend. It was awesome getting together, as it always is. And I look forward to next Monday and doing it again.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, buddy, have a great week ahead, and keep in touch. Well, I'm sure we'll talk throughout the week.
Oh, you betcha.
Okay. All right. Night. Bye for now. Okay. Yeah, I think it's about 2 hours. Hope these are long. Hey, thanks for sticking in. Appreciate your support, and of course, appreciate the support of our partners and sponsors. And tell your friends, tell your family, check out our websites, and tune in every Monday. We're doing this over the holidays. We're going to do some more, and into the new year, we're going to be doing a ton. So we will talk to you soon. Take care of yourself, and have a great week ahead. Bye for now.